I like big butts and I cannot lie. Those other brothers can deny. We back, we back, we back, we back, we back. How are you feeling out there tonight? I hope you're doing just grand, because guess what? I am. So you think about it. You find a girl you like, and if you're like me, she got a cute face, she got a nice waist, and she's kind of heavy down low. And you start saying to yourself, oh my God, I know that somebody else has had to have loved her before I have. And we talked about community property last week, but at the time when you get her, you hope that she's not been propertorized. I know that's not a word, but you hope that you are in some ways a little more special than others. So in the case of Dejounte Murray, who plays for the Pelicans, guard for the Pelicans, he's going through it right now with his, I guess this is a girlfriend, maybe it's his baby mom. And her name is Janaya Michelle. You notice how all of these little baddies, these little Instagram baddies, got like two first names? You know what I'm saying? Like, make something up. Brittany, Amber Brittany, or Amber Marie, or, you know what I'm saying? You always use two names. And as opposed to just the first name and maybe their real last name. But hey, that's besides the point. But when you start dating women, and this is just not for anybody, this is for all of us. And he's only 29 years old. He's rich, 29. So, I'm sure he has a plethora of options. But the thing is that sometimes you still go with how you feel when you didn't have the money. So, wherever you grew up at, whatever you used to like back in the day, a lot of times is what you'll probably like for the rest of your life. You just try to find it, hopefully, in different packages. So, he's in the same age range as one NBA Youngboy. So if anybody doesn't know who NBA Youngboy is, he's another rapper, really popular, one of those kind of guys. He doesn't get a lot of commercial play, but he's very, very, very popular on the rap scene. And I think he has, 8 or 9 kids, maybe 10, maybe 12. I'm not sure. He has a bunch of kids to be a guy that I believe is under 30 years old. So anyway, Janaya Michelle, she is another young lady. Not sure how old she is. I'm assuming that she's in her 20s. But she's another one, pretty, nice little waist, big, And she is one of the baby mothers of NBA Youngboy. So, however it winds up, because a lot of times, a lot of these women roll around in the same circles. That's why they call them groupies. I don't want to call her that because I don't know. But that's why, they call them groupies, because they move around in groups going to see these, or they always just happen to be around these famous or wealthy men. So, it's been a lot of internet stuff with him last week, this week. Oh, you know what? Mothers, she's a mother. I didn't think she was going to be out in the club like that. She's going to such and such and such and such, and she's going to be home and all that. Now, there's a couple things. First thing you could tell about a person, especially a woman, in my estimation, or just people, period, are the types of people that they've dealt with prior to you. Now, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, for women, there may not be that great a pickings of men. Everybody can't be me. But I'm just saying, so I get it. A person with integrity and character and all this other kind of stuff. And a lot of times women are attracted to money, regardless as to how he gets his money. Whether legally or illegally, women are attracted to money. They're not going to stop you and say, hey, where'd you get that $1,000 from yesterday that you didn't add today? Where'd you get that from? They're not going to do that. They're going to say, okay, baby, just as long as you can do something for me, it's okay. Because a lot of times people are just worried about what someone else can do for them. Now, so you already say to yourself, all right, well, she got NBA Youngboy as one of her baby dads, allegedly what he was into before and all this kind of other kind of stuff. Also, I got to deal with that just from that standpoint of it. So then what does Javante do? He goes and has a baby himself with her. So they have a child now. I'm not sure how old the child is. You can look it up. But they have a child now. So what happens is now you got this one guy that's in the NBA. He has a child with his girlfriend at the time, who also, because we know a lot of times the child stays with the mother. So he's also basically taking care of him and NBA Youngboy's, his son, and NBA Youngboy's child also. So now there's 2 kids in the house. I'm sorry, I don't know whether he has a son or a daughter. But now he has 2 kids in the house. One of them is his, one of them is not. And that's fine because good men, good people do it all the time. But now he's kind of upset because he feels like she's going out clubbing too much. She's popped back up at NBA Youngboy, her ex-boyfriend / baby father's concert, and she's doing stuff. So he feels. And he's upset about it. And he's speaking out publicly about it. And I get it. You know, it's hard, especially when you feel embarrassed, when you feel in love. And that's the thing with a guy, you know, like guys, when we love, we love hard. You know, it's a difference. And, you know, it's just earth shattering when we find out that this woman that we love is interested in someone else. You know, and I'm not trying to make a double standard, you know, because, you know, at least with women, 9 times out of 10, it's nothing else that the woman has that you don't have. It's just that it's just a different experience. Typically, that's all it is. But anyway, so you got him on the internet being upset and saying certain stuff and feeling a certain type of way. But to bring it full circle and to make it correlative to us who are quote unquote great above average people, 2 things. One is watch who you have a child with. Watch who you have a child with. I don't care whether that's the man or the woman. Watch who you have a child with. You need to see who their family is before you have a child with them. Because if they at least have a decent enough family, or at least a decent enough support system or decent parents, you might stand a chance if things go awry between the 2 of you. But you need to watch who you're having a child with. Because that will determine or could determine how many gray hairs you're going to wind up having. How many sleepless nights you're going to wind up having. How many issues you're going to wind up having that you didn't think that you would ever have before. Because see, the thing about having a child is the sexual part of it is the fun part. We can all do that. We can all grab and touch and do all this other kind of stuff. But the thing is that because sex was really made for procreation, once the bundle of joy comes, it can become a lifetime of misery. And you start thinking to yourself, wow, you know, yes, eventually, as most people say, they have adult kids. Wow, where did the time go? The time goes fast. But there was a whole bunch of gut-wrenching, heart-wrenching stuff that happens to you if you pick the wrong baby mom or baby dad. You will wind up baby sad because you've dealt with an idiot. Someone who doesn't care about anything. Somebody who only cares about themselves. You know, you can always tell the selfish moms and the selfish dads, can't you? They always just running around earth, doing what they want to do. They don't spend as much time as they need to with the kids. Your kids calling you, telling you stuff late at night when you think mom's supposed to be there, hanging out, doing the right kind of thing. At least before you go out to Trizik, make sure that the kids are in bed slizzeep. How about that one? So whether it's these young people who are in their 20s or people that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, when you got little kids, make sure you do what you got to do before you do you. Whether you're together or not. And obviously this couple is no longer together. But make sure you do what you have to do. Taking it back to points that I've made before where I know I've made mistakes. That's why it's important to marry before you carry. Because at least, hopefully, there's a certain level of commitment between the 2 people that says, hey, listen, if we have both of these kids together, our main concern are these kids and each other. It's us and the kids in the home. Not this one over here, that one over here, all this stuff going on everywhere. Leaving grandma to have to watch the kids all the time. Leaving auntie to have to watch the kids all the time. Leaving your oldest kid to watch the kids all the time. Once again, bum stuff. Kids don't have a sense of, hey, that feeling of, 90% of the time, and everybody has to have a life. I get that. But out of a 7-day week, at least 4 or 5 nights a week, especially if you don't work overnight or the graveyard shift, your kid should get to see you either when they wake up or when they go to bed. They shouldn't have to have a phone putting them to sleep. They shouldn't have to call anybody else to put them to sleep. That's part of the main issue here that he's talking about. She's out at the club all the time. But you know what? I'll give her a half of a pass because she's at least in her 20s. I can't give no excuse for these chicks in their 30s and 40s that got small kids, but they feel like they need to be out trizicking all night. Or the dudes. Can't get them no excuses either. You out doing you, bro, and she's sitting with the kids all the time. And somebody asking, well, where daddy at? Where daddy? Where daddy? Because you always out doing you. Because I'm going to tell you something. Most of us guys, because I can only speak for the guys, we didn't want this life. We didn't want this life of, oh, I got to have a baby daddy. That's why I waited so late to have kids. I didn't want to be a baby daddy. You know how dumb that sounds? Because nobody don't take the time to say, oh, that's the father of your child. No. You look like a damn fool. A 51-year-old baby daddy. A 40-something-year-old baby mama. And I get it. We all make mistakes. And we all make mistakes. But damn it, when are you going to take the time to correct them? How long does it take? Is it going to take till you get 50, 60, dead? When do you correct these mistakes that you have made as far as being a parent? Or do you just continue to be a selfish piece of you know what? Because one day, all of this will come full circle. The only problem is that in the interim, the kids have to suffer. So I would encourage anybody out there right now, you got somebody who's always out, always at the club, always at the bar, and they raising your young kid. Only thing I can suggest to you is that, hopefully you just do some things to do better. Hopefully, you step up and do certain things that will have the kids remembering these things that you do for the rest of your life and the rest of their lives. Because I'm here to tell you, you can't make a parent do what they're not built to do. Because, in my estimation, I think, being a parent is one of the hardest things you'll do. But it's also one of the most rewarding things you'll do. And since a lot of times, I won't even go gender on this one, whoever chooses to dissolve the situation because of certain situations or certain things that are going on, it winds up hurting everybody. And you understand that when it's going on, but you still know that you have to save your sanity. And you got to try to do the right things. So Dejounte, go ahead and save your sanity, brother. Hey, most of us got to wait on that $1,500, $2,000 paycheck every other week. You getting a couple million every other week from the NBA. Go find yourself something else. Your heart will be over it soon. Don't worry about it, youngin'. And for everybody else out there all of us. If you got a situation like that, like I said, all you could do is be the best parent that you can be. But that don't mean you got to let the other person off the hook. But you tell me what you think. Everybody needs a social life. Everybody wants to party all day and all night. But the kids are out of sight. And big bro, big sis, grandma, auntie, they can't do what you're supposed to do. But you tell me what you think. Because either way, I'm going to continue to say, live life. Don't let life live you.